Welcome in. It is day 195 and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're jumping into a game that I got years ago. I've been jumping into a lot of my games that have been sitting on my shelf, whether it's been for a few months or years, that are the unplayed games. The games that just either I just didn't like them the first play or they just never grabbed my interest and I didn't really want to play them. And I've been trying to get those played to bring those to you because just because a game doesn't hit for me doesn't mean it won't hit for you. So this was one of those games. I grabbed it. It was a free grab one night when a whole bunch of games got dropped off at the local Boys and Girls Club that a friend of mine worked at. We all went through it. I grabbed this one, and every time I tried to play it, it didn't grab my interest. But I finally decided, let's sit down. I played through by myself today, and the game wasn't for me, but I could see people liking it. So the game is Badass Riders. Now, it's a riding game, so it's a racing game. And the concept is you have all these cards that you set up and you can make different tracks. And then during your turn, you're getting cards and using them for movement. You're using them for weapons that can attack other cars. You're using them for equipment for defense. And you're just trying to be the first car to get to the end of the race. It's straightforward, and I don't think it's a bad game. I'm not a big fan of racing. So I don't like racing video games. I don't like to watch NASCAR. I've never been into, racing my own vehicle or, even going and getting on the small race, the little racetracks you can do at like amusement parks and stuff. It's not for me. It's not my style. So this just didn't really click for me. And at the same time though, while I know this game itself is not very popular, I can understand that there are popular racing games of multiple varieties throughout the different types of gaming you can do. So I'm sure some people might be interested by the concept. I personally, again, didn't hit for me, but I wanted to give this a fair shake. So I did a real good breakthrough. I walked through all the pieces today. I set it up. I played it by myself. And I want to give my 7 categories and see where this one hits for me. When it comes to the art, that's the reason I grabbed the game out of the box. I actually really liked the cover, and I do feel the inside art matches the outside art. It was just an eye-grabbing box, an eye-grabbing design. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up on that. When it comes to those components, the components are really good. Most of this is cards. There's 2 huge decks of cards inside. You have a couple of D10s. Those are great for the dice. You got a bunch of cardboard pieces, and they're all really nice. Like, I obviously got this game used from somebody. I didn't open it myself, but I could tell from the pieces. This isn't one I was worried about. Some of these games you can get cardboard, the bad ones, and I haven't really had these in my time. But the bad ones, when you take it out, it'll sometimes tear, and it tears into the piece. This looked like it was more at little points for the tear off, which was great because that's a better quality. So I actually think they put a good amount of money into making sure that the game was good components. So I'm going to give them a thumbs up there. Your price. Now this is where you run into an issue. And it's not that it's expensive. It's that I don't know its price because I haven't been able to find it. It's never been seen in a store. I've checked a little online, and so far I've come up empty on it, but I'm going to keep looking. If I can find an Amazon, I'm going to put it up there. But even if I do, the concept is this game is not household name. This game is not a board game-centric name. This is not a well-known game in any of those areas. It's a game that clearly came out at some point, and it didn't hit. And as a result, there's not a lot of copies out there. So it's going to be hard to find. So I have to give it a thumbs down on price because what are you going to do if you can't find the game? The price doesn't make a difference. Your difficulty. So I actually didn't find this as difficult as I thought I would. I set it up and I realized most of the components, the cards, were actually designed for setting up the track. And then there's decks to draw from. And then there's just the pieces for your personal vehicles. I actually thought it was perfectly fine. It definitely was one that I looked at and said, okay, I think a kid and a beginner would be overwhelmed from the initial opening of the box, but they could probably be okay with it as long as they're with somebody who's done it before. And for those experienced and expert players, I think the experienced player who's into a racing game could enjoy this. I don't think it's great, and I think you'll find other games you'll like more, but I think that they could enjoy it. and probably the expert as well. As long as you're a racing fan, you could probably find a way to enjoy this game, even though you probably have a couple others already off the top of your head you'd say I like way more. But with that being said, I'll give the difficulty a surprising thumbs up. Replayability. I don't see a lot of replayability here. It's not a massively hard setup. I think it's actually reasonable. But I just don't think this game's going to click well enough for most people to get to the board, never mind to actually get to replay. It just is one of those games that I think you pick it up and then you realize it's not really for me. Or you run into the other side of you have your friends who just don't want to play this one. It just doesn't grab them. There's other games I'd prefer to be teaching them than trying to teach them this, where it's not a great game, it's just a good game. So I'm going to give that thumbs down. Keys to victory? Keys to victory are pretty straightforward. You have to make the decision. What are you doing? Are you trying to get more movement? Are you trying to get more defense? Are you trying to get more offense? Are you splitting it? Are you paying attention to keeping other cars near each other so they're messing with each other and you kind of keep in the back and can save the cards you've equipped yourself with? There's definitely things there when it comes to those keys to victory. Thumbs up. Unique. This game's not unique. There are plenty of games that are about equipment and building up your cars and trying to get out there and survive. I would actually point specifically to a game that I right now cannot remember the name of, but there's an apocalyptic game I love playing about building up your cars like that. And there's also plenty of racing games. So for me, it's not unique. It's got to be a thumbs down. Overall, what do I think? I wouldn't buy this game. I don't think this game's worth your time and the effort to go find it. I just don't think it's one you're going to play very often. And even if you're a racing fan, I think you're going to be more interested in other games than this. That being said, if you want to find it and play it, go for it. Nothing against it. It's just unlikely you're going to find it. Well, it has been day 195, and we've been speaking about the game Badass Riders. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and if I can find an Amazon link, I'm going to supply it below in the description so that you can pick up this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.